It's the fan phone in, and tonight, well, I'll start with the positives. We got Mark Ryman back. How are we getting on, Mark?
Yeah, I'm back, and Luton are back to normal.
Oh, oh.
The curse is back. Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right. Thank you very much. Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. We were discussing off air just before we went live about. Well, you were saying we'd have a disagreement about how this game went.
Mm.
Uh,
Well, yeah, I think so. I mean, I watched your post match as, of course, and I think as people who watch this or listen to our podcast know, me and you tend to agree on the vast majority of things, and within the context of the season, I think we'll dig the bones out of this season in a pod and probably say pretty much the same stuff. But I think for this game, I think that I'm not going to lay the blame at 10 players on that pitch. One of them, second challenge, as you said, was stupid. So just to put it out there to start with, I agree with you on that second challenge from Cal. I mean, just brainless.
so stupid.
I also think that Burnley would have won the game regardless. So we'll get those two things out of the way. Um, but for me, that refereeing performance rivals that of Kettle against Bradford. It was appalling, and I think that the fact that we were playing such a superior opposition masked it a bit. But let's put this right. The first challenge from Cal Naismith for me wasn't even a foul, let alone a yellow card. The second one was a borderline foul, and a yellow card was harsh, even though he went inside. Should he have lunged in? No. Terrible decision. He got in the way of Zach Nelson trying to dribble out. It's utterly ridiculous. Stopping a counter attack and then leading to the goal. And then, of course, the lino misses the ball that goes out. That's two goals and a red card. That's going to make a difference to any team. I would challenge any team, including Leeds, to get a result at Turf Moor with that kind of thing. So I think I tend to agree with Bloomfield on this. I actually think that the 10 men did all right. All right, McGuinness scored that own goal. A lot of stick he was getting online for that. I don't think that he deserved that much stick. He's been brilliant for us recently. I think, if anything, the cross should have been stopped, but they're bloody good players and it's a good cross and he had to get in the way of it. I think it's one of those things. At least he got there. It's the first, earlier on in the season, he wouldn't have been there. He blocked across just before that really, really well. And I actually think after about the 65th minute, the substitutes that were made were really good. And we decided to push on. We kept going in a game that we were certain to lose. So I'm not taking anything from it. I think we still go to Cardiff. And I find it difficult to see us getting a win or maybe even anything from the game when we've only won once away from home. It doesn't change my view on what's going to happen at the end of the season. But actually, I don't think that the team, or at least 10 of them, did much wrong in that game. I really don't. I know the scoreline suggests that that's ridiculous, and I might get a fair bit of flack from people that phone in. But I came out of that with far less issues than I had done and plays it, from when we played people like Borough or even Watford. I said to you off air, if that had been the first game of the season and that's how we lost, I'd have been far more optimistic about the rest of the season than I was from the game that we actually played. So, yeah, I think, yeah, it was a disgraceful performance from the referee. Absolutely disgraceful. And I think Bloomfield's right to be angry about it. But yeah, there we go. That's my view on the game. The real test, of course, is on Tuesday. We all know that.
Okay, I see where you're coming from. I see where you're coming from. However, if that was the first game of the season, but it wasn't. But the reality is, like, we've sucked all season. We've been terrible.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, you can't change the referee's choices. And in all fairness, Naismith should know better. There should
Oh,
be
100%.
consistency in the decisions, whether if the ref gives Naismith a yellow for the first one, then he needs to be giving, who was it? It was
Yeah.
can't think of his name. Their midfielder, the one that scored the third goal. They need to give him a yellow. Like, it's consistency. It is. But anyway, let's roll on with the phone in. Hello to everyone in the chat. Good to have you all along with us. Lots of people watching live, and I'm sure it's going to get more numerous as we go along. Some great comments already. Thank you everyone for your comments. Keep getting them in. It's great having you all here with us. Lewis says, sorry, Mark. Maybe me being co-host might mean more wins. So far, I'm 100%. 1 for 1. Mick agrees.
I'm not going to talk about my record.
Well, to be honest, mine isn't much better.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're clearly not the problem, right?
I think since we started this podcast, I think maybe I'm the problem. Since we started this podcast, how many wins? Maybe 13 wins in the 1.5 years. In Norwich you could count them with one hand.
All right, mate. There's no need for that. No need to make it
personal. Dale Husband, he says both were yellows in my opinion. Stopping a counter and lunging in from behind. That's fair.
I think a counter by winning the ball. I don't know how the first one was a yellow. He won the ball. I don't think there's anything that was wrong with that at all. But fair enough. Look, I think people will disagree with me on it, but like I said at the start, look, Cal's an idiot for lunging in for that second challenge. Regardless, I don't disagree with that.
He wasn't going anywhere. Yeah. He wasn't going anywhere. Look, we talk.
No arguments there.
We talk about it a lot on the Luton Town show. That'll be releasing tomorrow. Apologies, there's no video. The SD card got corrupted, and you'll see that with Champ Chat, which is just audio only, but there's a nice thumbnail with gremlins because there were gremlins in the system. Lumbago is serious. Oh, it is serious. The first one was also a high foot, making an easy decision for the ref. Phil Clark, sorry, both yellows for me. Even if first wasn't Naismith knows he was on a yellow, he was a twat for driving in. I think that's accurate, isn't it?
No arguments with that second part at least. The rest obviously is all opinions. That's what it's about.
And Christian says, "Can I get on? I got some opinions." Well, Christian, you're at the back of the queue. Let's bring in our first speaker. We got Simon. Hashtag in Tom Locker we trust. How you getting on, mate?
How you doing, guys?
Back to normal?
Yeah.
You know what? Normally I'd come on these, I'd be annoyed about what's gone on. Another 4 goals pumped past us. But you know what? I've had a wonderful weekend this weekend. I've stopped letting these results really get me down at this point. Because at the end of the day, we're going to League One, I think. I do think we're going down. Coming to peace with it makes life easier. It really does. Let's get into this game first and foremost. I thought in the first 20 minutes we were all right. Yeah, I thought we were pretty solid. And then
game plan was working.
There's things I can say about this referee, right? But Cal Naismith is more than experienced enough to know to not give referees decisions to make like that in such a short period of time, right? And I'm seeing Naismith getting absolutely pelted online, right? Fair enough, but at the end of the day, I do still think that Cal Naismith has brought a net positive to the club during his time here in his second spell. It's going to be really crap not having him available in what is the game now against Cardiff, because we don't win that game, that's it. There's no more what if. It'll be done if we don't get 3 points at Cardiff, I'm afraid. It's very similar to this point last year where it was Everton, where it's like we've got to get 3 points against Everton. It was getting close to that time. We didn't get 3 points against Everton, and that was it. We all knew at that point. And it's sort of about that stage now. And I'm also seeing people like absolutely going in on Bloomfield. And I just want to say, Bloomfield, I don't think is the main crux of the issue, right now. I don't really think he can start calling for Bloomfield's head until he's had a season, like a season of his own, start to finish. I think that's fair. We're not Watford. We don't chop managers out after 10 games. It's not like these issues didn't exist.
Look, there's
Well,
no getting around. Sorry, Ryman. I'll cut in. There's no getting around. A lot of these issues they lie on Rob Edwards' floor. He sucks all the belief out of the team, but there's a lot of blood on Gary Sweet's hands as well. For hindsight being 2020, no pun intended. But thinking, oh yeah, we're savvy for bringing in. Keeping all the players that did so well in the Premier League. But the reality is the hunger's lost, and now these guys are on like exorbitant wages, massive wages, and in League One they're going to be massive, and we're not going to be able to offload these people, I don't think, because they are all really shit. I can't think of a better turn of phrase. They've shown this season they're all really bad. No one's going to take them.
I think Doughty has a shot at going somewhere else. Out of everyone, it's going to be Doughty.
That's one. That's 1 out of 15.
I know. And he is one of our top earners. He definitely is up there now. There will be interesting players like Doughty, I think. I don't think we could give Adebayo away at this stage. Who's going to take him on? Who's going to do that? Who's going to spend what we would deem good feedback for what we put into him? Who knows? But we are in trouble, but we have been in worse situations. I know that sounds silly. And at the end of the day, what will be at this stage. We're in this mess because of ourselves. And that's what hurts the most. And that's why I've sort of made a little promise to myself. I don't check what the other game scores are, like people around us. I stopped doing it because all I was doing was torturing myself about it. I just focus on the Luton Town matches, and that's it right now. Because why bother?
I think you're like us. I think you made peace with it. I think we've made peace with it quite a while ago, Ollie, haven't we? And
yeah.
I think it's the best way to go. Like we've both been really pissed off about this season and how unbelievably needless this seemingly relegation is going to be. And I agree with Ollie, a lot of this lies on Rob's fault because he let players get away with murder, essentially. He allowed this mentality of not fighting and not trying and so on Luton-like, and he allowed it to happen because he had this narrative of loyalty to some of these players for what happened in the Premier League and everything else, and that set the rot. And it's very difficult for Bloomfield or anyone else to change that in however many games he had. However, I would say that, as we've said before, that was he the right man at the time? I don't think many people would say that he was. That's not his fault, of course. And now he's here, then he needs to be given a chance. But of course, would anyone have turned it around? We'll never know, right? But yeah, I'm with you on pretty much all those points. It's going to be really difficult, but yeah, we're going to have a wholesale inquiry into this. There's got to be some very honest conversations between trusts and the board, and open conversations, and lots of things have got to change for next season, regardless of what division we are. Even if we miraculously stay up, that has got to happen. Those words that Gary put in the programme notes before Pompey cannot be empty ones. Things have to change, properly change back to the way that they were if this club is going to start moving forward off the pitch before anything happens on it.
Back to some old words. I think David Wilkinson said the club culture is under attack. Rob Edwards was attacking the club culture. Sorry, Si, go for it.
That really, you know what, I'm going to follow up on that because that rings home, right? A lot of people in like the LTST, all around the club, different fan groups. You've got Loyal Luton. You've got, even though everyone shits on us, social media creators, podcasts, everybody saying, ringing the alarm bells. Yeah, the alarm bells have been rung and they've been ringing for a long time. And say what you want about all the good things 2020 did. They had earplugs in when those alarm bells were being sounded. from all sides of the club. The fans, the trusts, everyone was very concerned. And it seemed like it's all fallen on just completely deaf ears up until those Gary Sweet program notes before Portsmouth.
Mm.
And as Mark said, there's got to be a top-down re-evaluation of what is Luton Town Football Club.
Yeah, 100%. And it's not just deaf ears. You know, voices like ours who voiced our worry early in the season were actively shouted down as non-supporters.
So
or
some earlier than
fickle
others.
supporters.
Some earlier than others.
Yeah. Well, absolutely, but not just from other fans, but by the club as well. Though, as you mentioned, Ollie, that post by Wilkinson in the program notes about culture being under attack. I remember Gary Sweet putting something similar around the same time, maybe slightly later, about podcasts, or maybe they didn't mention the word podcast, but it was clear what they were talking about. And, you know, we're not getting any stick for being negative anymore, I suppose. So there's something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that people were willing to kind of blindly accept things for too long, everywhere within the club. And that's
It
part of the
did
problem as well,
almost
right?
get to a point. I'm telling you, I said this before. I did say this towards the tail end of the last season, that we can love and appreciate everything 2020 has done, but to treat them as some kind of almost religious icons within the club is dangerous, because the wheels can come off. And when the wheels come off, people have to be there to say it's happening. You know, there's got to be a structure in place for accountability. And when everybody are friends, like inside a club, things can go awry, especially when large injections of money come into a club.
Yeah, well, look at it. There are Gary is like a deity. He has his disciples, and you'll find them across social media. You'll find them in pubs. You'll find them at the ground. People that will not criticize 2020. People that will not criticize Gary Sweet. People that will just take that shit sandwich, take a big old bite, and then swallow it down. Because they're like, hey, we were playing Hyde 15 years ago, so you know.
My answer to people saying that now is we are moving into a stadium we can't possibly hope to fill based on the current trajectory. We need to get with the times, lads.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, look, we discussed that on the Luton Town show as well, because I think 17.5 would have been absolutely fine. But the reality is, Power Court would not be getting built without a promotion to the Premier League. Look, we won the lottery, and we just got to make do with the best that we have at the time. Sorry, we got loads of people queuing up in the green room.
Nice
so,
one, guys. I'll speak to you later.
Get to next people. Yeah, take care, mate.
Nice one.
Right, so that was Simon. Hashtag in Tom Lockyer we trust. A couple of comments. Where we leave off. Stevie Kilgore says, at least we'll have a refreshed and ready Cal for Borough. Yeah, he'll be coming up against Eric Peters, who has just signed for Middlesbrough. Interesting one. Oh yeah, no way he was playing the next 3 in a row. Nah?
No, I said he'll have a worldie now, won't he, Peters?
Oh, yeah. Peters, yeah, if he gets on the pitch. Can you imagine?
Yeah. I mean, you're right. He was never playing 3 in a row. I was slightly surprised to see him in the starting lineup. It's a really interesting. I mean, I'll go back over old ground as well. I wonder if he was just too fired up. Who knows? But it's so surprising that it was him.
Yeah, he just drank too much iron brew and deep fried Mars bars and just went straight in gung ho.
Too many E numbers. Yeah, well done. We ticked off 2 Scottish stereotypes. Don't go with any more.
Yeah, well, I lived above a chippy when I lived in Scotland for 4 years, and I lived off deep fried Mars bars and deep fried pizzas and haggis. Yeah, it was very dangerous, far too dangerous.
It's good to know you're still with us.
Yeah, I need to get my heart checked out, to be honest. I'm overdue. David Coupe, I think I saw Ollie turning onto Airport Way this lunchtime. I thought to myself, I hope he's calmed down from last night's match reaction. Yeah, I've been told last night's reaction was quite angry. In all fairness, The anger comes from having to say the same thing week in, week out, and not having changed it. Yes, I was turning onto Airport Way. I was on my way back from recording the Luton Town show, which is dropping tomorrow at 3 p.m. I love the plug. Stephen C says, "Control the always with the plugs. Control the controllables." Loads of comments here. I'll pick one or two. Kevin McHugh, 2020 are visionaries, employing a League One manager for League One. In my opinion, it's all too pally from the board downwards. Rob Edwards wanted to be buddy with the players. No accountability. Matt Bloomfield seems to be Rob Edwards Mark II. That's an interesting one, isn't it, Ryman? Sorry, Lewis, we will get to you. We just... I think Rob Edwards was too chummy with Gary Sweet. I've heard it from people. They were good mates. Families got together a lot.
Well, exactly. I think that's all but confirmed, isn't it? And it's all good when things are going well, not so great afterwards. I think that's slightly harsh on Bloomfield, but he's not immune from criticism. I don't think he can be after that many games and only the one win. But we both know the absolutely shit show that he had to inherit as well. And I think that he seems a bit more focused, like he's got a plan, which is more than what could have been said for Rob Edwards this season. That plan hasn't always worked, but at least he's got it. And I would give him some credit. He went into the crowd at the end of the game yesterday. I mean, that takes some balls. I know he got some criticism for this as well. Like, why would you do it? But lots of managers, don't forget, we had Graham Jones who skulked himself off after the 7-0 thrashing away at Brentford. He could have done that easily, but he didn't. He went and faced an angry crowd after a 4-0 defeat, and I think fair play to the bloke. I think that's put a lot more credit in the bank for me, for him, and I think he needs a bit more time.
He's got to be his own man.
See how he gets with his own squad. Yeah, exactly that. So I think judging him as Rob Edwards Mark II is easy to do because of the results. I don't think he is. And I know he's had some of the window. How many of those players are his, we won't know. But no, there's a decent manager in there. Whether we see it at this club or not remains to be seen.
Yeah. Look, it's going to be very, very different come the summer, I think, regardless of what league we're in. Right. Shall we bring in Lewis? Yeah.
Yeah, let's bring him in.
Here we go. It's Lewis. Good evening, mate. How are you getting on?
He's gone.
He's gone. He's
done enough.
Did you
try and bring him in?
Did you try and pull him in, or shall I'll put him in? Oh, he's there. No, he's gone. Oh,
I'm not doing it. No, not doing it. You do it.
Okay, I'm bringing him in.
Not touching it.
Lewis. Good evening. Good evening, as Unai Emery would say. Okay, well, we'll come back to Lewis. Lewis. Let's bring in Christian then. Oh, got to get back onto the old Discord. There we go. Let's try Christian. How you getting on, Christian?
Oh, not so bad. Not so bad at all.
How is the second season supporting the Hatters been for you?
When I started supporting Luton Town, I knew it wasn't going to be an easy trip, at least for the first season. I mean, the Premier League was Luton's Mount Everest, and, survival, far-fetched, not finishing last. If you ask the media, kind of far-fetched, but it was a lot better than what we were expecting, I think. This season's been an absolute disaster class, and words cannot put into perspective just how much of an embarrassment it really is. I mean, with the players that we have on the wages that they're on, if we don't manage to pull off a great escape, it's a financial catastrophe. We have a stadium that we're not going to fill, that's being built, that's taking up a lot of our financial resources. And we're not in a good position if we go down, because we're not going to be able to get fair market deals, at least for a lot of the players that are on high wages, such as Adebayo, Morris, the like. I mean, Dowdy might be the only one that we can. it's just ridiculous that we're even in this position. The fact that we're even 23rd in the table, like we should be top half at least, fighting for playoffs at least. And instead, we're facing relegation down to League One.
Yeah, there's an old adage in football. I don't know if you're proed up on the football lexicon, and this cliche is football is not played on paper; it's played on grass. If we were to look at our team and where we should be in the table, look, all the pundits pretty much had us first and second. No one in their right minds, even the bookmakers, wouldn't have had us, rooted to the relegation zone as early as we were. No one would have pegged us. I don't even know what were the odds. Someone in the comments let me know what the odds were for Luton to get relegated at the beginning of the season. I imagine they were something wacky like 300 to 1 or something. It's absolutely madness. But football isn't played on paper, and our players, like, they got no fight, they got no desire, they had no tactics, and Rob Edwards killed all the spirit that was there in the team.
Yeah, and you and I discussed this a little bit. What was early morning for you, even earlier morning for me, and yeah, it's just not good where we're at for so many reasons. I mean, for a stadium that we can't fill, that's not going to be the financial help and benefit that we thought it was going to be, because it's 25,000. We'll maybe fill half of that if we're lucky, I think, at least for the first few years if we're not recovering. It's really reminds me of what Leeds did back in the early 2000s, where they spent money and they didn't see any success and they fell into a financial catastrophe. Now, we didn't spend a lot of money compared to them, of course, but we spent way too much money to be where we're at. And that's one of the big issues. I think it's an absolute disgrace where we're at. And I think it's an absolute disgrace that, early on in the season when issues were very, very obvious, I was one of the people that was criticizing 2020 and Gary Sweet, saying, hey, there are issues here. And I got told off. I got told that I'm a stupid American that doesn't know anything about football. And the very same people who told me that are the same ones who are saying, yes, 2020 and Gary Sweet have dropped the ball. So I think for the people who saw this coming from the beginning, it's vindication. For the people who think Gary Sweet and 2020 are some kind of demigods, I mean, wake up. We're 23rd in the championship. Get real. I get I'm American. I get that I'm not from Luton, but get real. We're 23rd. We should not be here. Gary Sweet and 2020 need to reevaluate what they're doing and maybe get some fresh ideas in that boardroom.
Powerful words, Christian. Powerful words. Thank you very much for joining, mate. We'll get the next person on because, as you can see, Q's in the green room. Thank you, Christian. Lewis, we will come and get you.
I don't know what's happened there.
We kept adding you in, and you just kept leaving the room.
I just mentioned Kate's comment. Kate, boomers, I had to double check on Google, is between 59 and 77 years old. Thank you very much. Not quite that old yet.
I think we're millennials. I had to check
we're millennials.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure Kate knows that we're millennials. I'm pretty sure she knows. But just to note that comment was noted.
Apparently, the odds were 100 to 1.
Anyway, we'll try and get back in.
Yeah, we'll get Lewis in. Odds 100 to 1. I think that's a bit short.
Well, they don't put them very big anymore after Leicester, do they? They have this thing after Leicester won the Premier League that all the bookies stopped putting crazy odds out at the start of the season now.
Yeah, 5,000 to 1 are crazy odds. That's like Adele being the next Bond, like that type of level, or like Adele going, or like
why?
A family starting up on Mars, stuff like that. 5,000 to 1 are crazy odds. Like, it's crazy to think that.
Yeah.
You know, Leicester winning the Premier League is like as likely as me becoming the next Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly that. Right, I'm turning the comments off. Kate, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Oh, you're turning the comments off?
Right. Who would you... Don't worry. Right, who have we got next?
We've got Lewis. If he
We're going to
turns
try
up.
Lewis in again.
Yeah, we'll try Lewis. Are you gonna add him in, or shall I add him in?
I'll add him in.
You add him in.
There he is.
Let's see what happens.
Lewis, can you hear us?
Lewis, we would like to hear from you,
Ooh.
mate.
No.
No, he's gone back out. Lewis, you're not getting
No.
off that easy, mate.
There's something going on with the...
Yeah, it's very odd. Very, very odd, I must say. Maybe it's something in the back end. Hang on. I'm going to see what happens here. You have a chat. I'm just going to see if I can change something in terms
Right.
of
You try and see that. I'll have a quick check on the comments that aren't about my cardigan, which, by the way,
It's a nice cardigan.
I'm well aware of. Thank you very much. Better than what I was wearing last time we did a phone in, which was my snood, which, by the way, I seriously regretted after about 10 minutes because it's a bit warm. There's a question about whether we'd downgrade power core. I think Kate mentioned it. Kevin Hughes mentioned it. I don't think so. No, I think actually that logistically can't happen now anyway because of detailed planning permission and everything else. It would be such a pain to then go back on. I think most people agree, though, that the size of that stadium, considering where we're going to be at, is overkill, to say the least. And just, you know, it highlights the fact that where the focus has been for Gary Sweet, who has kind of placed himself in a position in the club where he doesn't really seem to delegate, and that he does and has overall control of everything for whatever reason. You know, you can point to personality, you can point to the setup of the club, but whatever it is. And as a result, you know, it takes, you know, a project like that, and suddenly all the focus is taken off what's going on in the season. The assumption from the board, as kind of Christian outlined as well, is that things would be fine. We'll do fine because, you know, we've just come down from the Premier League. Of course we would. And it underestimates how hard this league is and how much fight was in our players. And so I think that's where we're at with it.
You know
meanwhile,
what?
I don't
You know
think
what a hard
Lewis
league is?
working.
League One is a hard league as well.
Yeah, it is.
And
yeah,
people were saying, yeah, well, you know, there are many bang average teams in the Championship, and people say, oh, there are bang average teams in League One, but guess what? We are the most bangest of the bang average teams. Well, we're below average.
I mean, let's be honest. It's a really poor Championship. I know that, you know, I've heard this before. Not at the very top end. I think if we were competing at the end that we thought we might have been at the start of the season, we wouldn't be saying that. You know, Leeds, Burnley, Sheffield United and Sunderland are all very, very good teams for the level. And I think maybe one of them might stay up, although, you know, the way things are going, you know, to second season in a row, the three that go up are coming back down again. But when you look beyond those three or four teams, you know, you look at the teams pushing for the playoffs. Only Coventry are really interested in playoffs, right? All the others that are around there have lost so many games. I mean, you know, the fact that Watford had lost something like 4 or 5 games in a row and was still only 4 points away from the playoffs tells you everything about, you know, the league, particularly at the top end or the middle of it as well. So
yeah, there's pretty much one space to go. There's one spot in the playoffs.
That's it. Yeah. And apart from Coventry, no one's interested. No one's interested. But, you know, look what change of manager has done there, and to a manager that I don't actually rate, still don't rate, which seems ridiculous because he's doing a brilliant job. You know, there's no doubt.
They got the 4th best squads in the league. I think their squad's better than Sunderland's. Yeah, I could have taken over, and I said that in Champ Chat today. I said I could have taken over that with my Football Manager pedigree, and taken them into the stratosphere. I think we got Lewis.
Let's see.
Lewis. Have we got you, mate?
Hear me?
Hey,
It's a miracle. What happened there, mate?
We're not shunning you. I'm sorry, Lewis.
So, basically, when I'm like, so I can hear you right now, yeah? I've got joined with my voice, and when I click that button, it goes permission denied. But you can hear me.
Yeah, I modified your
We can hear you.
permissions because obviously you co-hosted last week, so
Oh, because I'm a
I've
very
modified
important person. That's
exactly.
right. Okay.
I had to downgrade you to a regular person. So
Sad times.
yeah,
It's all right,
Lewis,
mate. We need the wins next week. You'll be back on. Don't worry about it.
Get it.
So what are your thoughts, Lewis?
10 more games to go, and then we can all celebrate a brand new season coming up. That's what I can't wait for. And then we get to say goodbye to all these players. I can't wait. It's going to be a great day when they
It's a
all
fresh
go.
start. It's a fresh start, isn't it? Sadly, I do get worried that we're going to end up trying to keep some people because of the sort of thought process of, oh well, you know what, they did it in the Premier League, that they could do it here in League
I
One.
think we just need to be ruthless. I think
Yeah.
it's no time now to be loyal. I think we've been far too loyal in the past, and that's why we're in the current position we're in. And be ruthless. It's going to cost regardless what we do. So make ruthless decisions. Buy players that actually, I think, want to run through a brick wall and, want to play for the shirt. Matt Bloomfield wants to play a certain style of play. This summer is the perfect opportunity to have a massive clear out and actually recruit players that can play this style of football. Not just a couple of additions in January. I mean, everyone that can play this system. And then see what happens. But next season, regardless of what league we're going to be in, I do think we are going to League One, it's still going to be challenging. There's some top teams in League One. You've just seen Huddersfield today. They've only just fallen out of those playoff positions for the first time this season, and they've sacked their manager. If they don't go up, they're going to be up there next season. So there's loads of teams. It's not going to be easy.
Yeah, look, League One is like the former Premier League graveyard. It really is.
I mean, look at Pompey and Sunderland, how long that took those two teams to come up.
Pompey went all the way down to League Two.
Of course they did, yeah. And I mean, Sunderland as well, with the amount of backing that they'd had, all right, their ownership was batshit, as we know from the documentaries, but, they still had the backing, and they just couldn't do it. So, yeah, absolutely agree. It's not going to be an easy task by any stretch.
I just think it's really sad that I think not many people out there on social media, well, I say the posts which I'm reading, they just cannot see that the players are the major problem here. Yes, we can look at the board and point fingers. They've come out and accepted they've made mistakes, should have done it a lot sooner, but that's a different story. But 10 games remaining, it's up to these group of players if they really want to stay up. Like, there's nothing the ownership can do. Sacking Bloomfield ain't going to solve it. No one coming in is going to solve this. It's the players crossing that white line now. And I know, Ollie, you don't like the saying, but it is 10 cup finals. It is. And the first one's on Tuesday.
Yeah, but our players can't get up for regular games. It's unlikely they're going to get up for cup finals, especially when there's no silverware on offer. It's all psychological. And frankly, they're pathetic worm men. Every single one of these players, they are invertebrates. They have no spine between the 11 men on that pitch. It's frankly pathetic, the lot of them. Every week, it gets worse and worse. The only way we actually do all right in League One, and by do all right, I mean compete for the playoffs, is by clearing house, getting rid of all of them.
Yeah, it has to be.
I think Gary Sweet has to go as well. I've said that so many times.
Yeah,
he has to go. We need a director of football, and I've seen this.
Disagree.
What, you don't think we need a director of football?
Not to get out of League One, we don't. They only need a director of football if they've got Premier League experience, because that's the only thing we don't know how to do. We don't know how to become an established Premier League side. We know how to become an established Championship team, and we know how to get out of League One. Why do we need to pay someone money to get out of League One when we already know how to do it?
No,
For me,
because I wouldn't trust Gary Sweet. Like last time we got out of League One, well, we've never had a problem getting out of League One. We've been in League One 3 times in the past 20 years. We've been in there 3 seasons. Like promoted twice, relegated once.
Exactly.
We have no problem in League One. We either go straight back up, or we go straight through it. You know. No middle grounds. We need a director of football, not just for the Premier League stuff, but because Gary Sweet cannot be trusted to make these footballing decisions, especially while he's juggling power court on his plate. He's got a lot on there, and we cannot deny the fact that, and these are my opinions. I obviously have strong opinions, and other people will have their opinions. We cannot deny the effect that Nathan Jones had on Luton Town. He took a middling League Two team, grabbed them by the scruff of the neck, changed the culture, and propelled them up the leagues. Completely propelled them. And say what you will about the League One promotion when he left halfway through the season, and say what you will about the playoff win. The backbone, the motivation, the foundations were laid purely and solely by Nathan Jones. And the best thing Gary Sweet ever did was hire Nathan Jones, because there is no way we would have climbed to where we are now. Well, I mean, not 23rd in the league, in the championship. There's no way we would have climbed all the way to the Premier League without Nathan Jones being the manager at the club. No way. There's no other manager that could have done it. Rant over. Soapbox Sunday.
See,
Can I add? Sorry,
Oh, go on.
sorry, Les. No, I was just going to add one thing. Just a slight negative to that point, although I agree with what most of Ollie said. Can I add one thing that Nathan Jones also instilled in the club? Is that he was amazing at creating this underdog mentality, which is the reason he kept us up. It's the reason he did so well up to a point, but never really was convincing in the second half of seasons or left. I think he also instilled can't cope with being favourites in games as well, which we've never been able to shake since he left too. Personally, I think that's been a huge problem.
Well,
I think
we've never
a huge
been
problem
good
from the
at
start
that.
of this season too.
We've never been
but I
good as
think
favourites.
Yeah, okay, but I think that comes part and parcel of his whole thing was the fact that it was underdogs. And you look at every club he's been at where they weren't, and he's been an absolute abject failure. And at Charlton, where they were struggling and middling again, he's suddenly got them working. So look, I don't disagree with what he said. I just think it's worth adding that as well.
Yeah.
But
Fair
yeah,
play.
for me, regards to back to the Gary Sweet, I understand both of what you're saying there, but with Gary Sweet, so the football club's progressed massively over the last 10 years, yeah, in a upwards direction. Yes, we've gone down from the Premier League. That was expected. This 12 months is the first time under Gary Sweet's tenure as the CEO of the football club where we've gone backwards and he's made mistakes. I just think he should be allowed to undo those mistakes and get us back to the championship if we do get relegated. He's got so much credit in the bank, and I know people hate hearing that, but he does have the credit. And we can all agree, I think, before a ball was kicked in the championship this season, these group of players were more than capable of finishing above the bottom 3 places in the championship before a ball was
100%.
kicked. So there's a lot more to blame than just Gary. Edwards plays a massive part. These players, I think, play 90%, blame. Yes, the recruitment should have been better in the summer. Yes, we should have got rid of Edwards a lot sooner. But I understand their decisions in why they kept Edwards longer, and I understood the summer to a certain extent on certain players coming to the football club. But he deserves the opportunity to undo those mistakes. And I just don't see the point in sacking him when I think that would be extremely harsh after what he's done. And bringing in someone in to the football club, which we know how to get out of League One. I think if you say to me in the Championship, should we bring in a director of football to get us to the Premier League and keep us there, then yes. But only bring in someone that gives us something different, not the same, because we've got it.
It's a there's a whole thing about this because he's on the board. He doesn't get sacked. He has to be voted off by unanimous decision by the rest of the board members. The biggest thing about Gary Sweet, and there's someone in this comment section as well that told me a very interesting story about Gary Sweet. It's hubris. It is hubris. At the end of the season, after the Fulham game, this guy, I don't mind saying his name, I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you're all right. Essentially, this guy asked Gary Sweet, I'm worried about next season. What's going to happen? Gary Sweet looked him dead in the eye and said, straight back up again. He essentially had the hubris. And if you don't know what the word hubris is, it means just essentially thinking you are the dog's bollocks and you have nothing to worry about. That is exactly what has been the problem here. It has. And you see, I put it in the ticking text. Does Gary Sweet need to step down? Oh, here we go. Yeah, it was Stevie Kilgore. So send all your... Gary, if you're listening, mate, send the death squad over to Stevie Kilgore's house, okay? Yeah.
Regardless of what he said, I just look at what he's done, and I think he deserves the opportunity to undo those mistakes. That's how I see it. You know, if, say, for example, we had Nathan Jones in charge from League Two, he stayed with us, never left the football club, got us from League Two to Premier League, and this happened. You know, that's different. It's a manager making those mistakes and making the wrong decisions. But when you're a director, when you're someone who's above and you're making the top decisions, one mistake, it has a massive impact. It's not like a manager. So I just think he just deserves an opportunity to take us back up if we do go down.
We've got to have a full inquiry though, right, Lewis? We've got to have full inquiry about what this is, because all these are all opinions, all of us. I don't disagree with you about the players, although I think the recruitment team harnessed more than the blame than you've said. But fine, but we've all got these ideas, but none of us really know what's going on behind the scenes, do we? There has to be a full inquiry into this club, and Gary, if he wants to do those things, if he wants to make those differences, has to front up and has to say, these are the mistakes that we've made, these were the processes we went through, and the trust probably have to hold him to account through probably a forum, something along those lines as well, because without that, then what's stopping all of this happening again? I agree with what you say about credit in the bank, fine, but it's naivety at best and it's arrogance at worst that's costs the club God knows how much in a double relegation that's so avoidable. So it does need a full inquiry regardless. That's just my feeling.
I just hope he acts on what he said in his programme notes, because he said in the, just the second last paragraph, they need to communicate more, and they said it's something which they haven't not meant to not do. So they need to communicate more. So let's see if he actually acts on that and they do communicate at the end of the season, because there's no point communicating now. We've got bigger things to worry about. We need to win games of football. So once the season's done and dusted, they should have a meeting, should be a Q&A, and it should be, right, what's gone on the last 18 months, because you can't go from Premier League to League One without making certain decisions.
They were just saying that to shut the fans up. There was no Christmas dinner. That they've had the sponsors in because they are obligated to do that. There's no visibility on an open training session. Like last season, Gary Sweet was going around shaking everyone's hands around the pitch, taking everyone's thank you, Gary, thank you. I imagine if there was another open training session, Gary Sweet would not be in attendance, or at least he would be hiding. Look, it's just something that people say to get people off their backs. I don't think it's actually going to change anything. Lewis, thank you very much for joining us. We're sort of running out of time, and we got some other people we're going to get to. Thank you very much, Lewis. Appreciate you, mate.
Cheers, Lewis. Take care.
So that was Lewis. Make sure you check out his channel. Kate will put the link in the description. I don't know why I plug his channel. He's got double the amount of subs we have. So if you're here from Lewis's channel and you're not subscribed to us, subscribe to our channel. Forget about Lewis.
It's more like it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Subscribe to this one.
Yeah, unsub from Lewis's. Yeah, subscribe to ours.
That far. No, thanks for stepping in, Lewis. That's what we meant to say.
Thank you, Lewis. You're welcome back anytime.
Did a great job. Yeah, especially as we won a bloody game. Right, okay, anyway.
We got loads of comments. Oh, blimey. Do you think we can whiz through a few of these? Uncle Reegs is here. Uncle Reegs, all the way from TikTok, that absolute trash platform, but he's one of the only decent ones on there. Hi, Uncle Reegs. Really like your stuff. I'm not on Twitter anymore, so people have to send me your stuff that you upload to Twitter. But I really enjoy it. Keep doing what you're doing, mate. And well done on all the Jamaican rugby stuff. Very good. Very good.
Yeah. I'm not on TikTok, obviously. Someone who wears cardigans like this does not go
We're
on
boomers,
TikTok
mate. We're boomers.
Exactly that. Yeah, there we go. NJ is now replicating exactly what he did with us at Charlton. Yeah, he is, and with some of the same players as well. They look like they're on a right run, aren't they? And yeah, we're all jealous. We're all jealous of seeing what we used to have in other teams. I'm jealous of most teams in the Football League at the moment, to be perfectly honest.
Imagine being able to play football.
Yeah, well, I watched the Cov game before our game at 3, and can you imagine being pegged back from being 2-0 up to 2-2 and then winning it 3-2 in the last minute? Can you imagine this team doing that, having that mentality? It just would never happen, would it?
No.
We'd probably lose it 4 or 5-2. I mean, I was bloody relieved they did, because they're playing Stoke, and obviously they're down there with us. But I know we've got people waiting to come in, but I'll keep this brief. But it just shows, Stoke, Hull, Cardiff, they've all gone to teams and given it a right good go, haven't they? Cardiff only narrowly lost. Who are they playing? Sunderland away. I know they're not in great form.
Yeah, but they lost narrowly to Burnley as well. Very narrow.
They did. Yeah, they 2-1. They're the only team that scored against them in the league for something like 10 games or something ridiculous. So yeah, exactly that. So I don't see that in our team, which is the reason why I don't think we'll get a result on Tuesday, so that'll sort of put an end of it. We might do, but we've won once all season. I can't see it, but
we're going unbeaten for the rest of the season, aren't we? Unbeaten away from home. Starting now.
Now, well, you've been saying that all season, so let's go. Starting now.
Yeah.
Starting from West Brom away.
Yeah, I think we're going to run a bit long on this one. But we'll get Ash and then we'll get Tyler on.
Right, I'll bring him in.
Yeah.
Ash is in. How you doing, Ash?
Hello. How are you?
Yeah, we're
as good as can be.
Far in acceptance. Had a lovely day. I watched the rugby. Didn't think about football. It's quite nice.
I think you both are doing the top job.
Thank you, Ash. Really appreciate it, mate.
I think you both are doing an excellent job. We missed you last week.
Yeah, well, Lewis stepped in.
The curse was lifted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Lewis is a good bloke. Yeah, Lewis is good. He's a top. I watch his on YouTube, and I watch T-Boy I've been watching them for years now. But let's just get into the main bit. What I want to talk about, the Cardiff game. What do you reckon is going to happen? Who's going to be the lineup? Who's going to be in midfield? Who's going to be in striker? What do you think? I reckon we need to get the bucket of water out now.
Yeah, I think we need a fireman's hose. We don't need a bucket of water. I think we need to get a super soaker that's been jailbroken and can actually do some damage.
That's what I reckon. Get the hose out, and what you do, make them run faster.
Yeah, honestly, in terms of lineups, if Burke can play, Burke has to play. Makoso, I like him. I think he's good enough.
He's a really exciting player.
But Bell's the only one that can play that left centre-back position. Bloomfield was full of praise. in the post-match, I didn't agree with that at all. I think it was
No,
all
I
a load
agree
of
with you,
bollocks.
yeah. Ollie.
Bell was at fault for all 4 goals. Phil disagreed with me in the Luton Town show that we recorded today, dropping tomorrow at 3 p.m. Another shameless plug. Yeah, like, look, the first 2 were on his side, and he was nowhere near like closing down the threat. He's so languid how he closes down. The third, he gets skinned on the left. The fourth, he gets skinned on the right. So Bell cannot be anywhere near this lineup, especially without Naismith next to him.
Can I
Naismith
ask?
gives him extra. Yeah.
Can I ask? Can we maybe use Phillips? Like, remember that guy?
Well,
he
Josh
played a
Phillips,
couple of games.
the left winger,
Yeah.
not a left centre back.
He's not a centre back.
No,
No,
we
And we
could
don't wanna
use Joe
replace
He's a winger
Johnson.
then, is he?
Yeah, we could use Joe
could we-
Johnson.
Could we have like someone else from the under-21 team maybe to play in that position against Cardiff? Because they're not that great, Cardiff, and I do think we're going to get a result against Cardiff, whatever happens. The reason I say this is because they're both the same. They're both average teams and all, and I think we just got a little bit more in because McGuinness has played before against them. He knows, he's been their player past, so he knows probably a few weaknesses to get through. I'm always positive. I do miss Nathan Jones. I used to go when COVID was. I used to go to the training ground and watch him train every day when COVID was. And Nathan Jones was a top guy, and those players were top players. There is a difference between that relegating the team which was going to get relegated from this team. We haven't got like a really another guy from the Tottenham one we had on loan, and the guy from Leicester. We don't have those. If they, like we were talking before, we don't have those type of players from the Premier League.
Oh, well,
to help us.
We do have Premier League loans. You're talking about Kin and Dewsbury Hall. We have the mighty Josh Bowler, a Premier League loan, young, up-and-coming player.
Yeah. That's why.
Forgetting he plays for Forest. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
mad.
He's never played for Forest.
Well, he's not played, but he's like half their team. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you think it's just disappointing? Like we have all this money and we just didn't invest properly in the team.
Yeah, it's disappointing. We didn't invest early. The problem is the club was so determined not to spend a load of money early, and so they panic bought late. And by panic buying late, we ended up with players that weren't good enough and didn't quite fit the system. And it's what's happened. I'd argue it happened a bit in January as well, to be perfectly honest. Not as much as the previous 2 windows, but it certainly happened a bit. We just mentioned Bowler, but didn't spend money on him, alone. But
our biggest problem. Our biggest problem is the new manager. He's too soft. Don't you think so?
He's pretty soft.
I don't.
But
I don't think he's the problem.
Publicly, he's soft, but we don't know what he's like because I drive past the Brace every Sunday. The players are in. There's always something going on now. Yeah, exactly. As opposed to like beginning of the season, the players were never in on a Sunday. So he's making them work. But Ash, we're running out of time. I'll leave you with one question. Does Gary Sweet need to step down?
I think we should keep him because the reason for that is because if we go to League One, then it's no point him stepping down, really. We just need that stadium. I know people are moaning, but the main thing is to get the stadium in Luton. We get the shops and it's starting boom. Luton needs to start booming again. We need people coming.
That's not related to the football operations.
Yeah.
It's a completely separate thing. And he is a Luton Town fan at the end of the day. Surely he'd want what's best for the club. And to be honest, I think what's best for the club is for him to step down.
I think he should step down. If we stay in the Championship, he should step down, and then we should get someone in who can make us progress. But let's just talk about Cardiff quickly before I go. I think we're going to win. Yeah, we got the players there to beat them because they're not a great team. Simple as that. I don't rate them. Simple as that. And I've got Portsmouth right, and I think I will get this one right as well.
Yeah.
I think you're both doing an excellent job, and I think you need to get little, T-Boy TV geezer in.
Yeah,
If he's
yeah,
still
yeah.
alive.
We're gonna get Tyler in. Thank you very much, Ash. Really
care.
appreciate
Cheers, Ash.
it.
Take care, mate. Right, we're getting Tyler in.
We got
I think, by the way,
Blackpool
just for the
Hatter as well.
record.
Yes.
Yeah, just for the record, I think we're going to go 1-0 up and to lose 2-1. But maybe
You
that's
know
just me being
what?
negative.
I will say, I think, providing we don't concede the first goal, we will be all right. It's we concede the first goal and then we capitulate every single time. We have a
It's the away
terrible
from home
record
thing,
from
isn't it?
coming.
That's the problem.
Yeah, but we just
It's just
we can't
yeah,
concede. We cannot concede.
Yeah. I think we'll start well, but we have done in a lot of games, but we fall away very quickly, and
We do.
Yeah. Well, look, we haven't got long to find out, have we? So let's see what Tyler thinks.
Evening, Tyler.
Evening, guys.
Yeah, sorry for
How's
the
it
wait,
going?
mate. Thank you for your patience.
No worries at all. No worries at all. But yeah, no. What was that we talked about? Sorry, the Cardiff game, was it?
Yeah. Ash was looking ahead to Cardiff, but we are disagreeing about how Cardiff is gonna go. I'll ask the first question though, before we get your take on what's going on at the moment. Does Gary Sweet need to step down?
The way I see it personally is I've been quite vocal on my channel, about what he's done this season and, how it's not been great and stuff. But me personally, what I would do is I would give him, a chance to right his wrongs next season, And the thing is, yes, we're going to lose money, if we do go down, which I think is highly likely now. I just don't, even if we do, get a result on Tuesday, it's the consistency which we haven't been able to follow up on throughout the season, and that's my worry. But I would give him, another season to right his wrongs. If he doesn't do that, then I think you've got to, I wouldn't say move on from him, but when it comes to, the side of things, when it comes to, more focusing on the football club, in the sense of the actual team and stuff, not the future stuff like stadium and that, let him more have his focus on that if it doesn't quite work out next season. But I'd give him a chance to right his wrongs. Not 9 times out of 10, obviously bar this season, he has done good things for the club. It's just this season it's not good, and it's disappointing because, obviously, you for example, Ollie, and obviously Mark as well, we've seen, numerous amount of relegations, even my dad said it himself. And this is the worst, one of the worst ones, if not the worst, because it's the most unexpected. And that's the disappointment. Obviously last year you expected it. The other years, with the 30 points and that, it's always going to be a big ask. And that's the annoying thing from the fans' perspective, and that's why we're so, angry and frustrated, because we should be doing much better, as we all know. So I'd give him 1 year to right his wrongs, and then, go from there.
I think last season's was actually quite avoidable as well. Is that ridiculous?
No. January
really
should have been
January.
better.
Yeah, I really do. What did we go down by? 6 points in the end. You look at some of those games. You look at the transfer window.
Rob Edwards not being pragmatic.
Yeah. I think 10 million more would have done it in January. I really do. The right players in the right places. Maybe 10, 15 million would have done it. But it's all ifs and buts. But I do feel like we certainly took our eye off the ball before the start of this season. I think that's certainly fair, even if disagree on that. But yeah, I'm with you, Tyler. I slightly worry about this. Let's see if he rights his wrongs next season, because it feels a little bit deja vu of the start of this season, where I'm as guilty as anybody else. Me and Ollie have been slated for the podcast that we did where we took the piss out. Well, you took the piss out of Stoke and Bristol City. I took the piss out of QPR and Watford, which I always think is fair game anyway, but fine. But of being a bit arrogant about the start of the season. I worry that we go down to League One and go, right, well, we've got the chance to rebuild here. We've got the chance to do this, that, and the other. Football is ruthless. We could be sat here, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that we're sat here, 17th, 18th, or whatever in League One this time next season, and thinking we took our eye off the ball again. We cannot make the same mistakes again. That's the only worry I've got.
Gary Sweet crowing about holding on to Colton Morris and Elijah Adebayo. These two scored double digits in the Premier League. They're going to tear up
10 years
League One.
ago. Yeah.
10 years ago, we were playing Hyde. Rah.
I think another thing, just quickly, that I think we need to do as well is, do what we usually do in the sense of, try and get players in early, because our pre-season, I think pre-season nowadays is telling, for a lot of teams, especially when you look at us and Hull. We had a pretty poor pre-season, and look where we both are in the table side of things. Also look at, and I know they're a completely different side, but you look at Liverpool as well. They had a great pre-season. Look how they're doing in the Premier League. So I do think they're quite telling. And, like Kate says in chat, pre-season was quite telling as well. And even when I did a few, watch-alongs in the pre-season, with my dad and stuff, we were saying, there's signs there that are just, they're not looking good. And we didn't really, other than Celta Vigo in pre-season, we didn't really play any, good opposition, if we're being totally honest. There was the worrying signs. I remember when we played Dundee, the goals we conceded in that game, and we had a fairly decent team out. Even the goals we conceded in that game, it was worrying. And, we're known for doing the business early. So we need to go in and get on with it straight away, really, next season. Especially if we want this
going to
25
Slovenia.
in.
Yeah, exactly.
So
we need to stop going to Slovenia. It's a waste of our time.
Yeah.
Well, pre-season was
exactly.
crap anyway in
just
terms of the
quickly-
fixtures, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
just
Ryman
quickly,
was
what I
saying.
was gonna say-
Ryman was saying, like, deep into the season, I think around about the time of the QPR back-to-back losses to them, Ryman was saying we still look like we're at the beginning of pre-season because the fitness has been wrong all season, and it's something people have picked up on in the comments here as well. Sorry, Tyler, crack on.
Yeah, sorry. What I was going to say is I totally agree with the Slovenia thing as well, because you look at the injuries we got there. When we was out there, Hashioka got injured. The Chong situation, when he got injured, that them stairs that he got, that was awful. Why? And the thing is, after that, they didn't even cover it up with anything.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
Might as well be playing
on
a pitch on the top of a cliff edge.
Yeah.
It's like,
Exactly.
go for a shoulder barge. Someone goes hurtling off the sides. Oh, well, he'll be fine. 6 weeks out, he'll be back.
Yeah, exactly that. It's just like, I totally agree.
Yeah, shocking.
Yeah, it really is. Right, we've overrun. Tyler, do you want to plug your channel before we boot you?
Yeah, no worries. Just T-Boys TV. Kate will kindly put it in the link, put in the chat. Sorry, I'm sure. So yeah, just check that out. I done a little short earlier, and then obviously a match reaction and stuff yesterday. And tomorrow, me and my dad will dissect this game yesterday, and then obviously get into the Cardiff game. So yeah, guys, thank you guys again for bringing me on.
Yeah, no, thank you very much,
Coming on,
Tyler.
mate.
Really appreciate
Much
it.
appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Hi, Richard. Nice to have you back in. By the way, notice, look, I am willing to take all the flack. QPR, by the way, I just on this, I think QPR showed the fight and have shown fight actually in most seasons. I don't recall a QPR side without it, and that's why they're where they are in the league and we're where we are in the league. But I think we all saw it being a hard season. I don't think any of us thought we'd be 23rd with 10 games to play.
They were offhand comments that we both made, and in all fairness, everyone, my Bristol City comments overshadowed the Stoke ones. Like, considering the owners, the amount of money Stoke have put into that club, and the fact that since getting relegated from the Premier League, a club the size of Stoke, they are a big club, don't get me wrong, that they haven't been above 13th in the Championship. And they've thrown a lot of money and ruined a lot of managerial careers.
Stoke are absolutely disgraceful in terms of where they are compared to. But mine's just it's QPR and Watford. I think that's fair game, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sure
the rivals, and we hate Millwall as well.
Exactly.
No, nothing wrong with chatting shit about them.
They lost. I mean, QPR. Look how poor they were at the start of the season, and Richard said it as well. But that fight to come back, and we know that Cifuentes is a good manager as well. Got them back in to where they were. But anyway,
you predicted them 8th in our
I did.
championship
Yeah, I
prediction
did.
video,
I predicted
didn't
They'd
you?
do well. Yeah, exactly. I also predicted Luton to finish third, fourth. I don't want to know,
Yeah,
but it was.
yeah, yeah.
It was
That's a
bad.
funny watch. You know, you see how far we've come,
Yeah.
and you watch that video back. Some absolutely ridiculous predictions. I think I had Sunderland 17th. I
Yeah, that's
did.
bad.
I had Cov
That's
4th
bad.
though.
Yeah. I put West Brom second.
Yeah. Well, you weren't too far wrong.
Well, if they kept Corb around and didn't get the injuries, maybe. But anyway.
Yeah. Hey
Yeah.
ho. Oh, what a depressing time. And like
I'm
look.
back. Woo! Back to the misery. All right.
Yeah,
If we lose
get
again
Lewis on.
Tuesday and Saturday, can blame me. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. I bet he doesn't have a cardigan like this.
No,
He's in his
it's
20s, for God's sake.
yeah, I know, it's a very nifty cardigan. I like that.
It's very nifty. Thank you.
I have to get one
Yeah.
of those. You know, for when I'm out in my garage. Although the
very
weather's
much.
starting to turn
Yeah.
a little bit, isn't it? So it's
Yeah,
getting a bit warmer.
it's been a lovely day. Lovely day. Right.
Yeah, other than the football, it's been wonderful, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But to everyone watching, thank you very much for getting involved. Really appreciate everyone that that chats in the chat, everyone that calls in. I understand some people are very nervous about calling in, but hopefully you get over it. We do these every Sunday, 9 p.m. Love to, you know, would love
If
to
we
hear
can
from you
talk bollocks
guys.
for an hour, you can do it for 5 minutes, all right?
Exactly.
That's the key.
It's 5 minutes. That's all we ask of you. That's all we ask. Yeah, maybe next week we'll get Uncle Reegs on. It'll be good to get thoughts from the younger generation of Luton Town fans. You know, I like Reegs. I don't like the rest of the TikTok lot, but you know, Reegs is sound. So yeah, it'd be good to hear from a variety of people.
Yeah.
Right, but also, yeah, Reegs will hold you to that one. Be on the next one. We're finishing up now, but yeah, win, lose or draw. Make sure you come on Sunday, 9 p.m. We do this every week. Thank you again to everyone for calling in. Remember to hit that subscribe button. And we got Champ Chat, that's out live now on the channel. We talk a little bit about Luton Town, but we got the Luton Town show dropping tomorrow at 3 p.m. There's no video, but still, it's a good chat. New mics as well, so the audio is just that little bit better for you audio snobs. And yeah, everyone, happy Sunday. On to Cardiff, right?
Next one.
Yeah, as always, come on, you Hatters.